Okay, and we are live.
Yay!
Scoot this over a little bit.
Hey everyone, this is Portfolio Reviews. I am RT Bear. I'm a 30-year veteran in the comics industry, working for Marvel and DC on titles such as Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Fantastic Four, X-Men. You name it, I've probably done it. And mostly known as an inker, but I draw a lot and write as well. So I'm going to introduce to you my partner in crime, Taylor.
Hey, you guys, I'll be reading your chat today. We already got some people greeting us right now.
Excellent. Well, welcome. I'm gonna give you guys a couple moments. You know, it's the 21. That's how old my daughter is. This will be a special episode. And yeah, so this is where you send us your portfolio pieces, and I review them for you. And we usually have clickbaity titles, so it usually sounds a lot tougher than it's going to be. I'm usually really nice to you guys, but you know, we got to sell tickets, so we usually do the clickbait. So don't get too nervous. Don't get too nervous. This should be fun. It should always be fun. Drawing should always be fun. Learning should always be fun. We shouldn't, be too nervous about it, even though I get nervous all the darn time, but we shouldn't. We should try to have fun. Okay, so did you want to add anything, Taylor, before we get into this?
Yeah, I'm going to be adding the link in the description to where you can submit your artwork for review if that's something you guys are interested in. Sorry, I had holes in my mouth. I'm getting a little sick. So we need some more artwork to review, particularly comic book story oriented pages. So if that sounds like something that you've been doing and you want art to give you kind of a critique, now would be a good time to send it over. And also, don't forget to support our Indiegogo Black and White, which is live right now.
Yes, we are up live. So let's get on with this. Boom. So it's Oblick. Is that how you say his name?
Oblick or Oblick?
Oblick. And I think he's a regular supporter. So I think he was a little nervous. And Oblick, you actually inspired the title of this this show. So he was a little nervous, and he didn't really, he was a little hesitant about sending stuff in, and I mean, it's always hard to kind of subject yourself to critiques and things, but I believe that's how we learn, that's how we get better, and sometimes it's hard to see it when you work in a vacuum, and when somebody points certain things out, it helps a lot. So, so that's why I'm here, and like I always say, I was really lucky enough and fortunate enough to have really great people in my life early on that helped me do the same. Well, I'm just going to point out one major, just compositionally, a compositional problem is we should never, ever crop here. Like, don't ever crop a drawing. So there's rules, there's tangent rules. So this is creating a tangent here with the head. This hand is creating a tangent here. The knee is not so much a tangent, but it's breaking another rule, and the rule is you never ever crop at a joint. So this is cropped at the knee. So it always looks odd, and then this one's cropped at the knee too. So if you crop it like mid-thigh here, it always makes for a better composition. Or if you crop, like mid-calf or something like that, like see how this is mid-calf, this is okay. The problem is this knee not being resolved here. So having said that, these pins that you've drawn in here, Oblick, this might be your calling, because these things look photographic. Let me close in on this.
Wow.
Look at those pins. It almost looks like a photograph. Look at that.
Dimensions are crazy.
Man, look at that shadow. Very realistic. All this logo work. Look at that, Taylor. Look at it, the way it wraps.
Precision.
That's crazy. Crazy. Okay. So this is really good. I'm not sure how old you are or how long you've been doing this, but this is really, really good. The color work is exceptional. I really like this these highlights here. I think it was done with a color pencil, it looks like, and these highlights here. I think this is marker work with some Prismacolor pencil over, um, and then an ink line. So I like the technique. I like the the pin with the marker with the color pencil. Those are three of my favorite tools combined. Okay, so let me. I think for the body, the head's a little small. So I think if the head was bigger, let me see if I can do this. Let's do some. Wow, my cat is going crazy. You guys hear that? That cat is so darn spoiled. If he doesn't get love from either my daughter or my wife, he just walks around the house crying like a baby. Okay, so this is going to be weird at first because I think it's going to crop more because of the size. So let's position it here. I think maybe forward a little bit more. Okay, so lock it down, get rid of that little line. So let's start doing some drawings. Okay, I'm gonna find my red. I'm gonna put a big red dot here so I can find it quickly when I go to these others. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is start eliminating some heaviness. She's a little thick. So bringing this in, maybe dropping the shoulder a little bit. So one thing about women where you can exaggerate is the neck length. Never worry too much about that. Longer necks are usually better. Longer necks are better necks. How about that? Okay, so you can kind of see we gave her a little bit of a narrowing of the shoulders and the arms. This arm looks good. You know what? I think I'm going to stay with the white tool and just keep slimming her down and then do some cut and paste.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying the shoulders were a little too wide for the hips.
Yeah, a little too high. One thing about women, they're just the opposite of the men, where men have wide shoulders. So especially if you're drawing superheroic characters, they're wider at the top and their hips are narrower, and women are just the opposite. So always try to remember that. So you can see that she's already kind of slimming down. And then usually she's pretty upright. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So she's a little short in here. So I'm gonna go. This is where I didn't want to draw my red lines all over this thing. I wanted you guys to see it.
That's much better, says the action artist.
Oh, cool. So I'm not doing this too well, but like find your center line, and then what I would do is start, and I'll probably take these out because I want to draw pretty today. So I think if she ended right in here a little bit more, So, you know what? If I cut this leg, maybe I can move it down. So you can kind of see where I'm going. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's right about here. Usually, we're about 4 heads to the midpoint, and the midpoint is usually around the crotch, and then legs are 4 heads as well. So we're usually heroic proportions are around 8 heads.
Irish and Sketchy says, I assume there's an anime styling with the way the eyes are. I have a question for you, Art.
Okay.
As far as like anime styles go, do you think there's any difference in proportioning like an anime style versus like a normal comic style or like realistic as far as like heads and stuff?
Yeah, I think anime is a little bit more cartoon. So the heads are a little bigger, and the eyes are definitely bigger. So they're kind of a little bit more little kid proportion. So they usually have like a fully developed woman body, and then kind of a kid-like head or face. Um, a lot of people find that very appealing. On some level, if it's done well, I do as well. But there's a lot of just average stuff out there. I guess you could say the same thing about American comics too. But you can see now. I mean, she's starting to look a little more lengthy. So also, she was a little thick. So when you narrow them out, they start looking, I mean, narrow, and then if you elongate the torso, it gets rid of some of that length, or that squattiness. I'm sorry, I'm losing my verbal skills. Okay, so I don't know. There's something going on with the hands. You know what? I'm gonna stick with the torso for now, and then I'm gonna come back to the hands. Those look very challenging. So, you know what? I was going to do this, but I think it's just going to take too long for me to totally rework this. So I got to move a little bit faster. Okay, so I would probably bring this in a little bit as well. And actually, I went a little wide there. I was following his line a little too much. So bring this in here. So I think between making the head a little bigger, bringing the shoulders down, narrowing the sides and the hips, and then bringing this leg down, the torso and head are starting to work. So you can start seeing that. And just to move forward and draw with the red here, like I said, I was trying to draw pretty, but I think I'm just going to have to do this to move forward. I think the arm is too short, and the hand is definitely too small. So I think if you elongate the arm, you can already look at that. I mean, it's starting to shape up. And here, narrow at the wrist, and then it comes out here. So, and then it's usually straight, more, blew that line. It's usually more straight here, because that's like the bone is right there. The bone is in here. So it's a little narrower here than you have it now. And the fist is a little too small. So if you brought it out a little bit more, let me see here. Try to clean this up.
we just got an influx of new people, so welcome, guys.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to the portfolio review. This is where we break people's hearts. No, it's all done with love. We're all brothers and sisters here, just trying to make better art. So then, if we took this away, I hope you guys can see this because I can. I can see how it's coming together. I don't know if all these lines and stuff become too crazy for you, but that's what I would do. And as beautiful as this is, you know what? Here we go. I'll do this right. Because like I said, I want to draw pretty. It's my pretty drawing day. I don't know if you guys get like me. Do you get like me, Taylor? Like sometimes like you just want to sketch and throw lines down like a psychopath. And then there are days that you just like, oh, I want to make pretty lines.
I get like that when I see people's sketchbooks that look really pretty and organized.
You just want to do pretty.
Some people like can sketch really kind of fluid and pretty.
Sometimes I think I'm in a finish mood today, so I want to make everything look pretty. So, look at that. I'm making it look pretty. Let's get some skin color in here. Look at this. Get rid of some of that glaring white. Get that background color again. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sexy. All right, so, without totally reworking it, that's what I would do. The main thing, I think overall, was the head size was a little too small and the shoulders were a little too wide and they were up a little too high. And then, like I said earlier, if you're just coming in, there's a big no-no, and I cannot stress this enough, is this is what we call a tangent. So her head's tangenting the edge of the composition, and this hand right here is tangenting the composition as well. So those are two no-nos. And then this is kind of a tangent here on this leg here. Actually, it is. So I would get these would all look better if they were inside the composition. So the hand, the head, and the leg, if they were all in the composition. And then one thing is, like, I think this is the knee here. So you never crop at a joint. So you never crop at an elbow, a knee, the hip. Sometimes, like the hip bone, you want to go above it or slightly, well, that would be the hip, below it. You never want to do it right on the joint. It just always looks funny. It doesn't look right.
The action artist says, "Thanks for the clipping rule. Never heard that one, not to clip at a joint."
Yeah, it just looks weird.
Where did you originally hear that? Because everybody in the chat saying no art teacher ever told them, and I think it is a very good rule.
Actually, Mike Carlin told me. He was my Superman editor on Adventures of Superman when I was doing that book, and I was drawing I was inking that. I was doing finishes over Dan Jurgens on that book, and I was doing covers. I was penciling and inking covers for Action Comics, and so there were a lot of things I was kind of doing that he would say, nope, that's not how we do it. And one of them was, you just don't crop at a joint. And it's actually good advice. People still do. There's always exceptions to the rule, but I'd say as a basic rule, you shouldn't crop at a joint. It just looks funny. It looks odd. And also, he told me, since I'm on my Mike Carlin rant, who was a great editor and a good friend, is always have your characters coming in from left to right in this motion, because and this is all subliminal, is like if Superman's coming in or you're punching or something like that, is in America we read everything from left to right. So our eye moves quicker from left to right than right to left. So you should always have your character come into frame from left to right, especially if they're moving fast. So if they're moving fast, then they look like they're moving even quicker if you go in this direction from left to right. And he was absolutely correct. Um, I had done this cover where Superman was flying in, and I had him coming in from, I mean, it should be coming in from left to right. I had him coming in from right to left, and he's like, nope. And so I didn't have any flop capabilities or anything back then, so I ended up redrawing the entire cover, flopped of him
Mhm.
coming in the other way. So that was a little painful. Nowadays, you could just scan it and then just flop it in the computer, but that's how it was back then. So Oblick, don't ever get too worried. I hope this didn't hurt too much. It's all done with love. It's a great drawing. It's a good start, um, and I think the main thing is to have fun. Always have fun.
Cam says, I wonder how much of that craft is lost with the talent today because, you're able to flip it and stuff in Photoshop.
Yeah, well, as long as you know those rules, because I mean, I would much have, I mean, I'm not learning anything by redrawing it in a flop. You know what I mean? Like that's just labor. So if I could have flopped it in the computer, that would have been way easier. And I don't know if we had the tech. I think they probably could have done it in some kind of like photo, and because they used to take pictures of the artwork and then make a negative from that for the printing. So now everything's digital, so nothing's physical anymore. So I'm sure they could have flopped the image when they took the picture or whatever, but maybe he just didn't want to, or it would have cost more money. Easier for me to do it. Oh, this is kind of cool. It's kind of like an Iron Man logo, or what was that? What's the Iron Man character? The Rhodey's character's
Oh,
name?
War Machine?
War Machine.
What does it say?
Yeah.
Bomb.
Bomb first, fast, F.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
a
what
little hard
this.
to read.
I don't know what this letter is. It looks like an F, an A, an S, and a T.
If this is one of you guys, feel free to chime in.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a name. There's a name here. And once again, you guys, please put your name in the file name, because sometimes we use initials and we get fancy with our name signatures, so they're a little hard to figure out or to read. So whoever this is, it looks like a J.
J. Jinko?
Jinko,
Senko?
Cinco,
Cinco?
cinco, seis. So let's take a moment, take it all in. So it looks all penciled to me. So some of this is a little busy and unclear, but I'll do my best. I like all the geometric shapes. It's pretty cool. What do they call this? It's like graffiti. It's like kind of like a graffiti art.
Primark says, I really like that drawing myself.
I do too. It's a cool looking style. So at first I thought this guy was riding something like a bike or something, because it looks like a handlebar. But now it looks like two
Spray paints?
spray cans. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like a cool graffiti style. I like all the shrubs. The geometric shapes are pretty cool. Nice thick outlines. Cool
Joe
design.
says, Joe says, it's like Sam Keith mixed with early Eastman. I don't know who Sam Keith is, unfortunately.
The Max guy.
Oh, okay.
Maximum. It's definitely fun. It's bold. It's big. I like it. I like the fun, kind of cartoony buildings. Okay. I always, when stuff's a little out of my wheelhouse, I always feel not as comfortable critiquing, but there are still basic rules. I think these aren't quite tangents, but these are just movement problems where you have, let me see, I'm going to make this bigger. You have, well, let me do it this way. You have the logo that's straight up and down. You have the box that's straight up and down. And then your character, for the most part, is straight, horizontal, and horizontal and vertical. So there's a lot of similar movement. So one of the things that I'm going to cut this out very crudely is that you can do is skew the character or throw their axis off, like so they're not lined up perfectly straight up and down. So if you were to angle this guy even slightly, have him coming in like this, lock it down.
Cam asks, Art, do you have good reference, like a book that a young child artist could use to learn some of the fundamentals?
You know what? My dad wasn't a professional artist, but he liked to draw, and he had this Jack Ham. Is it Jack Ham? Is that the guy that does the animal books too, Taylor? Is it Jack Ham?
I know the only one I know is Joe Weatherly.
Joe Weatherly stuff.
He's the one that was one of my teachers. I know. I think I know who you're talking about though.
I think it's an older book. I think his name's Jack Ham, and that book, because my dad had it, and I was pretty young, and I remember having access to it, and I I didn't have a problem with it. A younger person, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
It's Jack Ham with two M's, right?
I think so. And he's got an anatomy book and an animal book, and they're old. I mean, gosh, they're probably from maybe late 50s, early 60s. I don't know if it's still in publication, but you might be able to find one. And I don't know. Excuse me. I'm thinking Bern Hogarth because.
Oh yes, he did. I see right here. Is it your
Excuse me.
1960? He did drawing the head and figure, cartooning the head and figure, and then how to draw animals and scenery. And he also did first lessons in drawing and painting.
Yeah, so maybe the cartooning book would be good for kids to start off. I just remember it seemed a little bit more user friendly. There's some pretty complicated stuff in there, but it seemed like it was more, at least I got something out of it. I still reread all the books I have because you always have like these little, I call them light bulb moments, and you're only able to understand things based on your comprehension. So as an artist or just as a human being, it's good to go back on some of, beliefs or ways you used to do things and stuff, and then just like, well, why did I do that? How did I do that? And then, when you're reading and rereading these books, you'll find out like rhythm and balance and certain things you were only able to comprehend so much of it at the time when you originally read it, because you didn't have the perspective that you have now. So when you reread these anatomy books, art books, stuff like that, you'll find that you're going to get more out of them with the second, third, fourth reading, especially if you have time in between, because you've evolved and you've learned things. And so when you read those, you should have more of these aha moments, like, yes, okay, I can understand this rhythm balance. Some of the more like esoteric, the more like, not obvious stuff, because rhythm, flow, balance, those are things that, when I reread, or went back on, I think Loomis and Bridgman, I was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. Um, and so it's always good to have those books and go back on them every couple years. Okay, so I really like this figure leaping down. I think since he's an angle now, he's not conflicting with your logo. I would just be careful about tangents. So what I did, I can already see a tangent forming here with the logo. So maybe move him up a little bit more, in the composition. And if you can do that, then, we won't have this tangent here with the elbow. But I think skewing them in this direction, well, look at that. I drew a perfectly straight line. In this direction, it works better. And so, like I said, I like his drawing. I think, your spray can nozzle here is a little bent this way. I think it should be straight. And this was bugging me when I first saw it, and it's not quite going away. This is his shoulder, but you have this character that's leaping down. You have a big part of his body being obscured by the foreground character. So I would either have him all open, like not touching anything, not touching this main character, or just a small touch of his knee or something like that, because this all becomes like, okay, let me do it this way. This weirdly becomes one shape. So you start reading this as a shape versus two separate shapes. So you can do this, especially multi-figures and stuff like that, but covers you always want a little bit clearer, and for readability, because this leg is kind of, the knee and all this stuff is not, it's just kind of blending right into this foreground character. So I like this design of this guy. He's pretty cool looking. We got two things coming forward. We have this hand here, and we have this gun here. I think, there's a movement going in this direction for a cover or any composition that's just not good. And you broke the panel here with the gun, so you really wanted to accent this, but all the accent is in it's totally wrong. You never want the reader, unless there's a panel over here. If there's a panel over here, then the gun would go right over to it, and then you would have this subliminal eye thing where you're going in this direction here. But for a cover, you don't have this, because your eye is just going to go right out of the cover. So you never want the eye just to go out. You want it to always come back into the composition. So if this gun was, like, just say, kind of coming more forward, like this, you'd obviously have to change the hand positioning and everything, to be more like this, and the thumb would be here or whatever. Shoulder, I do that a little big, but you guys kind of get the idea. And the gun is going back into the composition here. Then you're bringing the eye back into the composition. And what else I wouldn't do is you have this arm coming forward and you have this arm coming forward. So it becomes a little bit like they're against each other. They're fighting each other. So I think what this might be better, and if you dip this shoulder, then you can make room for this guy here. So you can see there's now, and then bring this arm, maybe, I don't know, Yeah, that doesn't work. He's gonna try things. So I don't know. I'm gonna draw it in real quick, like the fist over here or something. You know, and then he looks a little short-waisted, so I would move the leg back down. Looks like we just got to update. Somebody bought a book, Taylor.
I think they did actually.
That's cool. So you can see how this guy start. I mean, this is very, very crude, guys. So don't judge me on this. But you can kind of see how this shape now is working, and how this shape is working here. So let me outline this guy really fast. So one of these things is like the idea is silhouette, and if the shapes all kind of work in a silhouette or a aesthetic shape, then they work. So look at that. I mean, compositionally, I think this is way better, to separate these two guys, and then have this guy's movement coming into the panel instead of out. I really like this hand coming forward, but you have a gun too. And just to make this guy more threatening, I think the gun coming into the composition versus out of the composition also looks more threatening. Um, you know, I mean, even if you wanted to make it even more threatening, where, you know, I guess this back arm right here, if you really foreshortened it, you know, or you can make it like it's aiming more at him or more in his direction, so it's more of a threat. Because I'm, if I'm reading this right, which I hope I am, I don't know. What are you thinking? Are you thinking this guy in the background's the hero, Taylor, or do you think this guy in the foreground's the hero?
The only reason I thought he was the hero was because he's in that like the corner image, but he does look like the bad guy.
Yes.
Because of how this other guy seems like he is in the forefront.
I guess the reason I was thinking the guy in the foreground was the bad guy is because he has a gun. So I don't know, fighting a guy with two spray cans, you know, against a gun, it seems like more of a hero thing than a villain.
Colin actually said something kind of interesting because I didn't know this, but I guess when it's like graffiti slang for tagging a place, they call it bombing. So I guess this is like the title and everything is very graffiti
Okay.
referential.
I think it's cool. I really like the style. And I guess maybe these aren't trees as much as this is the sky, maybe, or just a cool design, these like geometric shapes. But another thing, what I would do, and this will help sell the image, is you have the buildings going this way, and then you have buildings going this way. And it's kind of a neat, what do you call that? Fisheye lens idea. And it's cool, but I think just as far as storytelling, let me get my straight line. If you had the buildings going more like this, like say there's a vanishing point up here somewhere, so then you had everything kind of coming off of, it'd be better if it was higher, maybe.
Pixel says, "Is the artist a lefty? I tend to put my guns in the hands of people on the left. I never thought about that."
Yeah, maybe. But you can kind of see if you have the buildings going in that perspective and you put the vanishing point above them, then all your buildings, you have this nice kind of subliminal movement going towards your story. So you can see they almost become like action lines. You know what I mean? Because they're all kind of merging on the heroes, and they're all kind of coming in on this area kind of thing. So you're focusing in here, which I think would help. So I mean, with these minor tweaks, this thing looks really strong. It's a really strong image. I like your bold styling. It's very cool. So keep up the good work. I think with a little bit of like just I think be aware more of composition and what you want your figures to do. I think it would be well, I don't not composition because this is really strong. I think um, just these tweaks, like watch out for things that are too lined up with other things. Your buildings, it's kind of a cool fisheye, but I think they're bending in the wrong direction. So if they came more into the composition, the hand and arm or gun not going in this direction, and maybe not both of the hands and gun coming as forward, like actually, I mean, make this fist smaller. Um, and then, yeah, so this one over here is still bigger than this one over here. So then the gun will always be more of the accent or the focal point. But this is very, very good. I wish, let me go back so I can show his name again. I wish I had your name. Please, guys, put your name in the file. So Jay Sinco or Jinko? I think it's Sinco.
Yeah, I think so too.
So there you go. Very, very good. Very strong. You guys are all very brave for putting your stuff out and letting me do this. Okay, this is one thing that's totally out of my wheelhouse. I did have illustration training, but I think just to make this fun, comic book stuff is more of what we're doing. But the reason I'm doing this is because I just realized we had run out of portfolio pieces. So somehow we managed to get through the 100 or so that we had. So this is a really good drawing of obviously Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. So it's done very well. I love the technique. It's amazing. But other than that, I can't really critique it too much. So I guess this will be more of a spotlight for this artist. Um, it looks kind of charcoal because usually with pencil you can't get that heavy of dark. But I like the way the black is working with the hair. That's very cool. The beard texture, the mustache is cool, but I really like the beard texture a lot. Um, this is really nicely developed. A nice, nice highlight, light area on the forehead. I'd like to see the neck maybe a little bit more resolved. It looks like it's just kind of haphazardly thrown in, and maybe some of the collar a little bit more defined, and the ear here. But other than that, it looks pretty good. I mean, you know who it is. You know that's Robert Downey Jr. So, like I said, guys, more comic book stuff, especially if I like storytelling stuff. So pinups are okay, but I like storytelling. So if you guys could bring me more storytelling. Okay, I thought at first these were the same people, but I don't think they are. This one is way more defined. This is pretty accomplished, man. So I don't know if Will Smith has one small ear and one big ear, but the thing I see the main thing is that his ear is way up here and this one's down here. If that really is how Will Smith's ear is, I think this is Will Smith, right, Taylor? Who is this?
It looks like
It looks
him.
like Will Smith. It's nice textures, really nice textures. I don't know how you did this.
Looks like
back here.
Deadshot.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's a really cool texture throughout. But like I said, I'm not really. I mean, I could critique this more, but I think we got to keep it fun, keep it about comic book stuff. So very accomplished. HSO, I believe, is the artist. So if illustration is your thing, this is a really good start. But we're kind of more comic book-ish on this stuff here. Ooh, now we're talking.
And by the way, you guys, the links have just been added in the description. So if you guys have some comic book related, preferably story related art, you can submit to the Dropbox with the link in the description, and the link above that is for black and white.
Yeah, yeah, and also, are we going to use that same media fire for black and white fan art?
Yeah, that's another thing. In the last video, some people were asking if we were accepting fan art. So if you have some black and white fan art, please submit that as well. We might be able to do a special episode about just the black and white fan art, maybe just like a showcase or even a critique if you guys want.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And also, we have a black and white Facebook fan site. So we have a few. We should make a point. Can you write it down?
Yeah.
We'll post some of that fan art. We'll put it on my site and on my Twitter as well, but we'll put the bulk of it up on the black and white Facebook to give you guys a little shout out, because I really appreciate. I think that's the ultimate form of flattery when you guys actually spend time to draw for us. I think it's really cool.
What's the most pages you would want for story art submissions? Asked Joe. I think we said 3 before.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think to make it fair and to keep things interesting, maybe 1 or 2, because I think if we spend too much time on one artist, it's not enough variety. So I would say, I mean, send 2 to 3 of your best, and then most likely we're just going to pick one.
Yeah.
Just because we can move a lot faster and we can get through more reviews that way. And I think it becomes more visually interesting for people to see, multiple different drawings, different artwork. This is really cool. I really like this. I wish this was a better resolution. It looks like a photograph.
That's another thing, guys. Preferably if you could send these as scans in high res, so that way art can kind of scrutinize the line and stuff, because they do kind of degrade and then get zoomed in.
Yeah, and I looked, once again, no name in the description, and this piece doesn't even look like it's signed. So, man, I so want to give you guys credit for this stuff, but you're making it hard. Maybe they want to be in incognito here. They don't want anybody to know. This is really, really good. Let's see if I can find something. Sometimes these things are, they take me aback. So I'm like, what would I say about this? It's so good. Let's do something.
A couple of people in the chat are chiming in about the horse's size.
Is a little small? Is that what they're saying? Yeah. Yeah. One thing I do a lot, and I worked with an artist from Spain. His name was Pascual Ferry. He's really, really talented, and he would draw all these guidelines on things. And this is all like part of that rhythm and balance thing that I was telling you guys about too. So you can find rhythm and balance, because you can see the horse isn't lined up really with the figure. There's some balance problems with this drawing.
Pixel says, "Don't diss his evil pony." Maybe it is a pony.
It looks like it's partially skulled, so maybe it's not big because it doesn't have any skin on it. Because doesn't this face look a little like a skull? So one thing I notice is that the shoulders, the shoulder over here is dipping, and it would, because this one's up, but I don't think it would dip that much. So what Pascual would do is, it was usually on the back of his drawing. He would put these guidelines in, and then he would lightbox, like he would draw over the guidelines, and so he could see on the other side, the guidelines would show through the paper, so then he could just draw, and so then he didn't have to draw all the guidelines, you know what I mean, on all on the page itself that everybody would see or that would be inked. And also, there's one thing, as an inker, most inkers really appreciate this, is the less erasing you have to do on the actual board, the better. Because the more erasing you do, you beat up the paper and it becomes harder to ink on. So think about that as well. For some reason, I'm not finding my position. So I think if the shoulders were a little bit more symmetrical, it would, like I said, I mean, they don't have to be totally symmetrical, but I think this shoulder on the left, man, this is bugging me, was a little too low. So this looks a little long. Maybe the elbow should be more here, like right here. And it looks long here too. No, maybe this, but it does look long. The distance from the shoulder to the wrist is good, but I think the elbow location is a little, it should maybe be a little bit higher. Let me see. Okay, this elbow up a little. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, the action artist asks, is that the old Ghost Rider?
I don't know. This looks brand new. I don't know unless they've changed the character. Because the original Ghost Rider, the one on the horseback, had like a mask on, like a white mask, and he didn't have this poncho. This looks kind of like, what is the Clint Eastwood character?
From The Man with No Name?
Yeah, is that the one where he had the
AKA
poncho?
Goldie.
He had the poncho on. It kind of looks like a hybrid of that character and Ghost Rider. And I think what I do, does this look like flames like coming out of the eyes? Is that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, this is why resolution. I think these are the eye shapes. So it would be cool is if they were darker so you could see them. And I think it doesn't look like there's enough of these things. So I think a lot.
Couple people are submitting their artwork right now.
Cool guys. We can do another show.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, without you guys, we don't have a show. So always remember how important you are. So I think you can see if it had more. Wow, that's kind of cool actually. Like dynamics. This is my fire sound. Whoosh. So, and it's the appropriate color. So like that, wow, that looks cool. So it actually accents this thing and helps it gives more visual interest and accents the eyes a little bit more. So you had that in play, but I think it's a little bit more pronounced now, clear, I guess. And okay, I'm gonna ask you guys, and I'm gonna ask Taylor this question, because there's something going on here with this horse that's bugging me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna accent what I think's going on, and then you guys tell me if I'm right or wrong. Okay, I need it thicker so you can see it. Is this the front part of the horse? And then this is the back leg?
I think I agree with you on the back leg part, but I actually think that other part on top is like his stomach, like the horse's stomach, because that strap goes around kind of weird.
This?
Like,
or this?
Like back here, I'll point on the screen. I think that's his stomach, and then this is where the front ends.
Yeah, but is this the back leg?
I think so. Which is kind of far out. Yeah, I think that's his back leg.
Well, this is the rhythm and flow things I was talking about. So this is, remember I drew that straight line here? Those things help because that's how you figure out Let's see if I can find the center of this again.
It's the back thigh coming forward, says Joe.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you draw the line, you can see how the horse just isn't really lining up with the figure. So they're not working in conjunction with each other. The horse looks like it's kind of three-quartered because you see the side here. You see its right side, but our left. And then you don't see as much here. And this leg, let me draw so you guys can see. I just keep talking. That's why I like this red thing, because it's like a pointer stick. Like this is coming in like this. So you can see that the rhythm and balance is just not working. Like this leg looks like this horse is about to go take a kaflooey. He's gonna fall over. So what I would do, let me get rid of some of, well, I want that red line in the center, but I'll try to do it without it. Let's do this because I don't want it to be stark white. Well, it's still pretty stark. I would take this out. So now you can already see that this side of the horse is lining up better. And then give me a red. Boom, babe. Oh, that's not red. That's red. Okay, then if you guys can kind of remember where that center line was, it was somewhere like in here that I drew. So if you can remember that, I'm going to get rid of this because it's going to conflict with what I'm about to do. Then bring this leg over, I guess more. It still looks a little off. Because I'm not sure even which leg is coming forward. You can already, it still looks like it's fallen over. Let's do it maybe this way. Bring this out a lot more straight. Yeah, it's, oh my gosh, this is.
And people in the chat are all talking about how difficult it is to draw horses.
Yeah, it really is. There's one of those Jack Ham books that we were talking about earlier. That it's a really good book on how to draw animals and stuff. So I don't know. This leg over here looks like it's coming forward. So let's just run with that. So because he's got this movement here. So then I would assume then this one's moving back. So if you do that, then what we have is we have this. I'd make this one bigger too. We have this leg coming forward, this one moving back. So it looks like he's walking forward, which is good. We have movement. And then I don't even know where these back legs would work. Like, I guess this could be a back leg in here, you know, just to show that there is a back leg. So one thing that's always difficult too without, it's really hard to draw things that are just straight up and down and that are coming directly at you, because it's everything's kind of lined up with itself. So when everything's lined up with itself, the dynamics of it becomes hard to add dynamics or depth to it, because it's just a bunch of like shape on shape on shape on shape, but it's all directly lined up with your camera or your eye. So this was a really challenging drawing to do. So my hat's off to you. I don't think I would try to do something like this unless I had a really, really good photograph to work off of, and I could augment it slightly to add some dynamics to it, you know, such as like, I don't know, this is probably going to look weird because I'm just going to be drawing over things, but like if one arm was like out, you know, or something like that, you know, and then maybe if the other one was more out and then he was holding the reins up here. So, and then make the head down, you know, something like that. So then it's more dynamic, you know what I mean? And then, wow, that's actually pretty cool. you know, like that. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Joe said put the horse at a 3/4 angle and it gets a lot easier.
Oh yeah, if you start just skewing things slightly, but it looks, if you can nail this, it looks so cool. But I think it just has too many things that are lined up and straight up and down. So it's probably a very natural or real type of way to draw it, but it's just not very dynamic. So once you start bending joints, you know, like this in a very exaggerated way, put the hand here. Um, then he starts looking like, you know, he's coming at you, and then, you know, if you made this leg bigger, and maybe, I don't know, it's going to tangent because I told you guys not to crop at knee joints, but it kind of already is. But if you could make this leg look like it's coming more at you, like it's bent like this, then it looks like the horse could be running at you, and then recess like we had here, like recess this leg back here, and then it looks like he's coming at you. So it's a little bit more dynamic, but I like the composition and everything. Looking at it again, I guess it's cropped okay, but I don't know. I think I'd like to see the whole horse in here, like the whole image. You know, with the legs in motion, just to make it more dynamic. But this is really really cool. I wish it was better resolution because it looks like there's a lot of pencil work in here that you just can't see very well because it's just not a great resolution. It's a lot of work. This is a very ambitious piece. So, you know, my hat's off to you for trying something that's so, you know, straight on like this, because it's not easy to do. So I believe that is all. So recap, boom, boom.
Some people wanted to know which one of these pieces you liked the best, but I don't know if that would be appropriate.
Yeah, they're all really good in their own way. I like aspects of each one of them, even the portraits, because I can appreciate them because they're done well. Um, but it's just not, you know, it's not my expertise right now. I can get into it, but I think it's less fun. It would be more technical. This is kind of technical, but I think this is still fun because I get to draw loosely over stuff, um, and things. So I hope you guys, you know, got something out of this. And we always do this to help, you know, the artist community. We always do this to try to plus things. We're not doing this in a snarky way, although, you know, we do always have, well, not always, sometimes we don't have the clickbaity titles, but they do kind of intrigue people to tune in. And I think it's always fun because, you know, I always seem like, oh, this is where I, you know, hand you your butt, you know, and stuff like that. And then you start listening and you're like, no, you know, this is, Art's a nice guy. So I think that's fun and I like it. But yeah, this is me paying it forward and trying to give, you know, back to you guys and to make, you know, some strong and good talent that we can go out there and keep making good comic books. So thanks. And we did mention early on that Taylor and I have an Indiegogo, and we have Black and White up. That's my Create Her Own book that Taylor is helping write, and that my wife is coming in to manage. Taylor and I, the two knuckleheads. I'm using the three Stooges, and she likes Mo, so she's probably the Mo of the Stooges.
It's definitely the Mo.
Taylor, I'm spinning on the ground like doing the curly shuffle, and and Taylor's over in the corner playing the violin. So so somebody has to focus this nutty stuff. So she's coming in. She's going to help us out, and she's going to be. Well, she's already becoming a major player in this. So she's one of the stretch goals. So I'm going to cut over, if you guys don't mind indulging me on this Indiegogo stuff. Oh, cool. So here we go. This is where we're at. Okay, this number, it's cool, right? But 267 backers, that's the part I like, because that means that there's 267 of you guys that back this thing and they're going to get this book and you get to enjoy it. That's the main thing for us, is that we can get this book to you guys, get it in your hands, and that you can enjoy, the fruits of our labor. And that's what this is all about. So this is the Indiegogo site, black and white. Hopefully, you guys can take some time today, go over it, check it out. We just added some stretch goals. I mentioned my wife, Pamela. So the first stretch goal, she'll be signing the books, all of the books. So that'll be cool. And she's working on her signature now.
And if you guys check out the video before this one, we had an interview with Pamela, kind of talking about her role in the original book and showing off some of her signature stuff. And if you guys get a chance, watch that. We are really close to that first stretch goal right now, which is to get, like Art said, to get her to sign the book. And yeah, the link is in the description, so check it out at your leisure.
Yeah, guys, it's a lot of fun, and that video that Taylor was referencing, my wife talks smack. She puts the spotlight on me, and so if you want to hear a wife talking smack talk about her husband, I'm not gonna say any more. But once you guys get to that part of the of her storytelling, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being brave and sending work along, your work, and letting me try to help out a little bit. So thanks. Do we have anything else in the chat?
And let's see, some people saying they're gonna buy the book on payday. We're gonna hold you to that. Payday's Friday. And Comic Book Bob has a quick question, so I'm gonna wait for him to type that up.
Okay.
But in the meantime, if any of you guys, like we said, we do need some more art for the portfolio review. So please submit them. If you look in the description underneath the link to the Black White Indiegogo, there's a link to the Dropbox where you can put that. Please include your name. And
include your name in the file.
In the file name, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way. And please try to send them as a scan or high res. And Comic Book Bob says, is there a way to get a copy of the book as a gift?
As a gift?
I'm not really sure. As a gift.
Yeah. If you want to get one for yourself and a gift for somebody else, we have the two books. So we have 2 graphic novels, and you save $5, and you save a bunch of money in shipping. So if you wanted to get one for yourself and then a gift for somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's what he means, to give to somebody else.
Yeah, because that's the closest we have. And if you want the full experience, there's this tier, which is 2 graphic novels plus 2 ash cans. So this one, it's like $20 off, and it's like getting a book for free almost. And then you also save in shipping. So if you're thinking along those lines, I think these 2 tiers would be your best bet, because then you're not spending as much money.
And I think if you're just trying to get a copy sent to someone else, you would just enter that in your Indiegogo info itself. You'd put in their address if you wanted to get it sent to them once the book is done.
Oh, yeah. We can send it to, right? If they just put their address in.
If you put that person's address in.
Yeah, we'll send it to whatever address you give. So if you want it to be sent to your friend, then just give us your friend's address and we can do that. Yeah, that's no problem at all. So guys, we had a blast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.
See you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe.